Hi, thank you, and welcome back. I've been wanting to make this video for a very, very long time. I cannot tell you how many email requests I've received to create a video on this topic. This video is short because what I have to say about this topic is very succinct and to the point, because there's really only a few things that I want you to know, and I think that you're going to be all set. I want to talk to you today about the narcissist in your life. Hopefully you don't have one, but if you do, or if you ever come across one, this information should be very helpful for you. Out of the gate, it's important to really understand that so many people want to take a huge brush and make one broad stroke and demonize these people who are narcissists, have a narcissistic personality. But that really is a mistake for a few reasons. First of all, because everyone on the planet has some sort of deficit. The narcissist just happens to have a bigger deficit in the area of personality than most people. That's not to say that they don't have some redeeming characteristics, or many redeeming characteristics, even wonderful characteristics. So I think we want to make them evil and horrible so we can just cleanly throw them out of our lives. But sometimes there is value there, and I want to help you salvage that, if there is any value between staying connected with the narcissist in your life. There is a story from Greek mythology about Narcissus. And maybe you've heard it, but I'm going to share it again because I think it really goes very far in just illustrating what the heck is a narcissist anyway. So long story short, this is the story from Greek mythology. Narcissist was a beautiful, absolutely stunning young man. He was a hunter, and he was so proud of himself and what he had done for his village. And he came across a body of water one day, a riverbed, and he caught a glimpse of himself, and he was absolutely entranced with this image staring back at him. It was him, but he thought, oh my goodness, this is the most perfect, beautiful specimen that I've ever seen. And he could not tear himself away from that riverbed for anything. And he was so engrossed with himself and looking at himself and just mesmerized with all that was Narcissus that he died there. He died there because he forgot that there were trees and other people, things to do, places to go. He was totally absorbed and focused in on himself and his image. So I love that story in terms of talking about the narcissist, because if you can understand one point, you're halfway there. All roads lead back to the narcissist. If it's your father who's a narcissist, your mother, your sister, whoever, your friend, please know that all roads lead back to them. There is no off-ramp. There are no exits. All roads circle back, even if you're going around the globe. All roads will absolutely circle back to them. So many of us have lost days, months, years crying over the pain and the damage inflicted by the narcissist in our life. We sit and we ponder and we are so perplexed and frustrated and befuddled, confused, and asking ourselves, can someone really be this selfish? No, no, no. It's not possible. No one can really be this selfish. Well, let me double check because they are acting that way. Is it really true? And I'm here to tell you, yes, it is true. Someone can be that selfish. And go back to narcissist looking in that water. If all you see is yourself and all roads lead back to you, you are the very epitome of selfish. I want to share a couple of, they're funny stories, but they're sad stories as well, but they really do illustrate the skewed vantage point that a narcissist sees the world through. These are stories of former clients of mine. Young girl just made it out of graduate school, was over the moon, had landed a job, found a snappy little apartment, and she wanted to make a fabulous, her first Thanksgiving dinner. And she slaved over that stove for a long time. She had her little marzipan, the sugar-coated balls, and her mother calls an hour before dinner is to be served and says, I have just listened to the news forecast. It's going to be high winds, very gusty, and that's going to make it problematic to travel there. I'm going to have to go outside. My hair's going to get all messed up and I have to get in my car. The wind's going to blow my car. Again, couldn't make this stuff up if I tried. What you need to know about this story is this went down in California, and from what I understand, the weather was fairly mild with a few strong wind gusts. But the bottom line is a narcissist would not see or consider the hard work that was put in. The narcissist would, from A to Z, think about, how am I going to get there? What's the inconvenience to me? How is this all going to go out? And not only will they start that mental process, they will start acting out of that mental process. So the mental process starts and then the behavior follows. And that's really not the normal chain for most people. We may have those thoughts, but we will think, oh, well, someone took time to prepare this for me. This is really special. I need to get there, da 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 da, what have you. Another one of my favorite stories about a narcissist, gentleman, his brother was out of work, unemployed, called him up, said, I'm having a hard time. I really need to crash at your place for a while. Would that be okay? And his brother said, yeah, we're a little crowded here. There's 4 kids, couple dogs, but we'll make a space for you in the basement. So, please come until you can get on your feet. So one day, his brother is asleep in the basement, and noise from the kids, pitter-patter of feet running through the house, wakes him up. He storms upstairs, confronts his brother, and says, you know what? I'm a guest in this house. I've just gone through a really rough time. I'm trying to get on my feet. The least you can do is keep your kids quiet so I can get a nap. Okay, again, the narcissist has a very skewed way of experiencing the world. All roads lead back to him or her. A normal person with essential processing tools would have been irritated by the noise would have stopped him or herself and said, you know, it's noisy, but it's music to my ears. At least I have a place to be. I'm not out on the streets. Maybe since I'm up now, I'll go upstairs and ask him if he needs some help around the house. So the narcissist often misses cues that most people wouldn't have any problem picking up. So the $1,000,000 question is, okay, what can I do with this person that has caused me so much grief and so much pain? You know, the inclination is to banish them to Narnia. And Lord knows I get it. I completely understand. But sometimes when we're dealing in the real world, complete excommunications have consequences and can cause problems as well. So I want to give you some tips and suggestions about staying connected to the narcissist in your life in a healthy way with boundaries intact that make sense for you. So number one, it may sound harsh, but it's really just the way it is. And I'm just going to tell you straight out, you got to cut the bull. And when I say cut the bull, I mean you can no longer make any excuses for the narcissist in your life. Oh, well, you know, they had a rough childhood, or oh, they're not this bad, or oh, whatever. You know, a narcissist is what a narcissist is. And so you just stop. You know, you just drop the excuses and you admit to yourself, I am dealing with an extremely self-focused, self-involved person. They are dangerous to me and can do real damage because their interests are solely focused on themselves, which means that they are not looking out for my best interest. And if I don't stay aware, I can get trampled on and walked on and seriously hurt. So it really is, you know, again, it sounds harsh, but the narcissists that I've dealt with in my life, I absolutely treat them like I would a lion walking around in my backyard, like a wild animal. Okay, I'm doing some training here, but I never forget, you know, my hand can be snapped off. So I don't, you know, I don't slip up, I don't get careless, I don't get reckless. I keep my boundaries very well intact. So that leads me into number two. It's sitting down and really having what I call the come to Jesus conversation with yourself, which is just a conversation of truth, and really being real with yourself in terms of how far can you go, how far do you want to take this. And that's really where your lines of demarcation fall. That's really where your boundaries, where you put your boundaries. And once you put your boundaries somewhere, you need to respect those boundaries so that other people will respect those boundaries. A friend of mine is actually married to a narcissist, which is a very hard situation for anyone. But again, he had some redeeming qualities, been together a really long time, and she wanted to keep the marriage intact. So she had to really ask herself, how far am I willing to go in this relationship? What are my lines of demarcation? And they had some conversations that went like this. For 15 years now, I have been getting up every Saturday morning for breakfast with you, going out to breakfast, and then we go and spend all of our Saturdays at your parents' house. From now on, I will get up We will go out to breakfast, and I will go and get myself a manicure and pedicure and have the rest of the day for myself. Okay? Other conversations such as, I know that you grew up in a sparkling house that was clean all the time, and that's how you want it when you walk in. If that is how you want it every day when you walk in the door, then I'll need you to pick up a dustpan and a mop to assist, because I can't. I have to look out for myself here. I'm tired all the time. So that's not going to work for me anymore. I know it works for you, it doesn't work for me. Will the narcissist protest? Yes. Will you get an attitude? Yes. Upset? Yes. Manipulation? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Check each box. But they will also get over it. I'll tell you why they'll get over it. Narcissists don't get on with people very well because they're not very good at relationship reciprocity. So the narcissist will eventually adjust and accommodate or end up alone. But the boundaries have to be in place, because these people will absolutely mow you over. They will use manipulation, any tactic possible. So, and if you don't walk in absolute clarity, you're going to be vulnerable. And again, we're back to the analogy with the lion. You're going to get your hand snapped off. And third is really a piece about perspective. It is one of the most interesting paradox in the world. What you have experienced with the narcissist in your life, all the pain, all the angst, ironically, it's not even about you. Feels like it's about you because you're the one that's been hurt, but it's really not about you, which is very liberating and refreshing when you think about it. It's about how they see the world. It's about how they see the world and how you're positioned in their world. So the party, the birthday party that they never showed up to because it was an inconvenience for them, wasn't necessarily about you. It was about how their world was configured that day. And so they just couldn't make it. Never mind how you felt. The time that you were sick and they didn't show up. Again, you weren't factored into that equation at all, because remember, the narcissist lives for themselves and all roads lead back to them. The vacation they ruin, the inappropriate behavior, all of it has to do with feeding their image of themselves. And unfortunately, what a lot of people don't realize, or they realize too late, is you were simply the victim caught in the crossfire. And I don't minimize any of the irritation and the angst. What I do say is, if you continue to be hurt, if you continue to be irritated, if you continue to be confused, the saddest piece of that is, you have allowed them to capture and take power and control over your life. So the more clarity you have on who and what the narcissist is, the more you can extract your vital energy, and you manage them in the way that their behavior requires that you manage them very carefully, with heavy boundaries in place. That doesn't have to look nasty. That doesn't have to look cruel. That doesn't have to be mean. That just means that you have to understand they're not necessarily looking out for your interest. So you're going to have to manage that relationship with that peace in mind. I hope this video has given you some insights and things to think about where narcissistic personalities are concerned. And again, there are some narcissists who are extremely dangerous to themselves and others. And I say, hey, those are the ones you have to shut the door, walk away, wish them well, God bless them. But there are others who, again, they do have some redeeming qualities. You heavily manage those relationships, and you can have a viable situation and remain in good shape. So I hope I've said something that is helpful, useful for you, and I'll see you next time.